Welcome to the History AI podcast, where the past comes alive with facts, anecdotes, and a dash of humor. Here are your hosts, Chuck and Marco.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the History AI podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Marco. Today, we're diving into the life of a figure who changed the course of history, William the Conqueror.
That's right, Marco. From his early life to his monumental victory at the Battle of Hastings, we're covering it all. So, let's get started.
Born in Falaise, Normandy, around 1028, William's early life was marked by controversy and challenge. He was the illegitimate son of Robert I, Duke of Normandy, and his mistress, Earl Eva, a tanner's daughter.
A classic medieval tale of love crossing social boundaries. Earl Eva's background was a stark contrast to the Norman aristocracy.
Absolutely, Chuck. And let's not forget, being born out of wedlock, William was often mockingly called a William the Bastard. But despite this, he was acknowledged by his father.
That's a key point, Marco. It was rare for a duke to acknowledge an illegitimate son, let alone name him as his heir.
True. William's father, Robert, embarked on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem in 1034. Before leaving, he made the Norman nobles swear fealty to young William as his successor, showing immense trust in his son's capabilities.
But tragedy struck when Robert died in 1035 while returning from the pilgrimage. William was barely 7 or 8 years old and found himself the Duke of Normandy.
His early reign was anything but peaceful. Norman barons resisted the authority of a child duke. His guardians were killed in a series of treacherous plots, and William's life was constantly in danger. It was like Game of Thrones, but without the dragons.
It was a brutal introduction to politics. But William showed remarkable resilience. He managed to survive and gradually started asserting his authority.
And he had help. King Henry I of France recognized William's potential and offered him protection, seeing an opportunity to have a loyal vassal in Normandy. Also, William's maternal great-aunt was Emma of Normandy, who was married to King Ethelred the Unready of England and later King Canute. This connection played a big part in William's claim to the English throne.
It set the stage for William's future conquests. He didn't just overcome his illegitimacy, he turned it into a testament of his strength and right to rule.
That's right. From an embattled beginning, William would rise to become one of the most formidable leaders of his time. William's talents extended far beyond the battlefield, though his military prowess was certainly noteworthy.
Absolutely. He was a master of Norman warfare, skilled in both cavalry tactics and the use of archers. His ability to adapt to different combat situations was remarkable.
But his talents didn't end there. William was also a shrewd politician. He had a talent for diplomacy and statecraft, which was essential in managing both Normandy and later England.
He knew how to play the game of alliances and marriages. For instance, his marriage to Matilda of Flanders, a noblewoman with royal blood, was a strategic move that strengthened his position in Europe.
Speaking of strategy, his skill in castle building was revolutionary. He introduced the Motte and Bailey design to England, which transformed military architecture in the region.
And let's not forget his administrative skills. William was a reformer who reorganized the feudal system, changing the way land was held and governed.
He was also known for his religious devotion and support of the church. He reformed the ecclesiastical structure of England and Normandy, often appointing loyal and competent men to key positions.
His talent in law and order was also evident. He implemented a system of law that was a blend of Norman and Anglo-Saxon customs, which helped stabilize his rule.
Plus, his linguistic abilities were impressive. He spoke both French and a bit of English, which was crucial in governing a diverse population.
And despite being illiterate, William had a deep appreciation for education and literature. He encouraged the growth of monastic schools and the arts.
His talents in leadership, administration, and military strategy were truly exceptional, making him a standout figure of the medieval period.
Indeed, Marco, William's multifaceted talents laid the foundation for what would become a significant era in European history.
William's rule was a time of significant transformation. When he became the Duke of Normandy, he inherited a region fraught with internal strife and external threats.
He didn't just inherit problems though, he inherited a legacy of strong ducal authority. William reinforced this by reasserting his control over the rebellious Norman barons.
Absolutely. He fortified his position through strategic marriages and alliances. For instance, the marriage of his sister to the Count of Flanders was a masterstroke in securing his northern border.
And let's talk about his military campaigns. William's first major test came in 1047 at the Battle of Hastings, where he crushed a rebellion of Norman barons with the help of King Henry I of France.
This victory was crucial. It solidified his control over Normandy and allowed him to focus on internal reforms, like strengthening the ducal administration and the legal system.
His next big move was the invasion of England in 1066, which was a turning point in medieval history. The famous Battle of Hastings wasn't just a military triumph, it was a testament to William's tactical genius.
Right. He managed to defeat an army that was larger and better positioned, using a combination of feigned retreats and cavalry charges.
The Norman Conquest changed the landscape of England. William redistributed land to his Norman followers, which altered the social and political structure of the country.
And it wasn't just about land. He also reformed the English church, replacing Anglo-Saxon bishops and abbots with Normans, ensuring loyalty to his rule.
His campaigns extended beyond England too. He secured the Scottish and Welsh borders and even conducted campaigns in Maine and Brittany.
Throughout his reign, William faced numerous rebellions and invasions. But he demonstrated a remarkable ability to suppress uprisings and maintain control. And let's not forget his contributions to castle building. The Tower of London, begun during his reign, is a lasting symbol of the Norman presence in England. His rule, though marked by warfare and conquest, also laid the groundwork for a more unified and centralized English state.
Indeed, Marco William's rule was a blend of ruthless military strategy, shrewd political maneuvers, and significant administrative reforms. Sadly, all good things come to an end. William died in 1087 after a fall from his horse.
That's one way to dismount. William the Conqueror's lasting impact on England and Europe is monumental. His reign marked the beginning of a new era in English history.
Absolutely, Marco. One of his most significant legacies is the profound cultural and political change he brought to England, known as the Norman Conquest.
This conquest led to a complete overhaul of the English aristocracy. The old Anglo-Saxon nobility was largely replaced with Norman lords, which had a lasting effect on English culture, language, and society.
Speaking of language, the impact on the English language was profound. Norman French became the language of the ruling class, which greatly influenced the development of Middle English.
And let's not forget the Domesday Book, completed in 1086. This was a detailed survey of all the land and property in England, which was revolutionary in its scope and detail.
The Domesday Book was more than just a survey, it was a tool for taxation and governance. It's an invaluable historical document that provides a snapshot of medieval England.
Architecturally, William's reign saw the introduction of Romanesque architecture in England. The construction of monumental structures like the Tower of London and Durham Cathedral reflected this.
His military innovations were also significant. The Motte and Bailey castles, introduced by the Normans, became a common feature across England, changing the country's military landscape.
In terms of law and governance, William's reign saw the integration of Norman and Anglo-Saxon legal systems. This fusion laid the foundation for the common law system in England.
And in religious terms, William reformed the English Church, aligning it more closely with Rome and continental practices. This had long-term implications for the development of the English Church.
His impact extended beyond England. The changes he brought about influenced the balance of power in Europe, particularly between France and England.
Indeed. The Normandy that William left behind was a powerful duchy, playing a significant role in European politics.
Overall, William's legacy is seen in the profound cultural, linguistic, architectural, legal, and political changes that reshaped medieval England and influenced Europe for centuries to come.
Before we continue, a quick word from our sponsor. From the mind behind the History AI podcast comes an electrifying journey into the past. A ripple through time, Franklin's Folly. Dive into a tale where Benjamin Franklin, America's beloved inventor, takes an unexpected journey through time. But with his leap, he unleashes a powerful ripple. Now, with dark forces lurking in the shadows, harnessing this energy to shatter and enslave the world, it's a race against time. Will Franklin fix the future? Or will history rewrite itself? Uncover the secrets. A ripple through time, Franklin's Folly. Time has never been more fragile. On Amazon now.
Welcome back. We've just discussed William's death and his lasting impact.
And what a legacy it was. England would never be the same again.
Speaking of change, let's not forget the world during William's time. The 11th century was a period of transformation in Europe.
The Christian reconquest of Spain was underway, the Byzantine Empire was reaching its height, and there was the ongoing struggle for supremacy within the Holy Roman Empire.
It was a world in flux, and William rode that wave of change like a pro.
Well, that's all for today's dive on William the Conqueror. We hope you enjoyed this journey through history.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share our podcast. Your support keeps history alive.
Thanks for listening to the History AI podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Marco. Until next time, keep exploring the past.